People don't start disrespecting you suddenly, they test you first. A small interruption, a sarcastic tone, a delayed reply. And when you let it slide, they understand everything they need to know. That you're safe to ignore. That your boundaries are flexible. That you'll explain instead of act. From that moment on, your words lose weight. Machiavelli saw this pattern in every form of hierarchy, from royal courts to private lives. The ones who needed to be liked always served those who didn't. Because approval is a leash, and the person seeking it is already controlled. Power, he wrote, belongs to those who can stay composed when others beg to be understood. This video breaks down how that principle still rules today. You'll learn how people read you before you even speak, how to make silence speak louder than argument, and how to project authority without aggression. Watch until the end, because once you grasp how Machiavellian power operates in modern life, you won't just earn respect. You'll command it, quietly, completely. Principle 1, the core of command. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you wanted to speak but stopped mid-thought, afraid it might sound wrong? That small pause, that flicker of doubt, is where influence dies. Power doesn't start with movement. It starts with stillness. Not the kind you can see, but the kind that happens inside, when your mind no longer shakes under pressure. When you are mentally steady, your entire presence transforms. Your tone becomes sharper. Your silence grows heavier. You no longer adapt to the room adapts to you. Most people unknowingly destroy their own gravity. They enter a room already asking themselves if they belong there. They talk while reading reactions. They act, but secretly wait for validation. Machiavelli warned that uncertainty is a signal, it invites control. People naturally push what doesn't push back. They test hesitation the way predators test weakness. It's not malice. It's instinct. Human beings are drawn to conviction because it feels safe to follow. When someone looks uncertain, they instinctively lose authority. Think of the eyes, the clearest language of dominance. The uncertain avoid contact, searching for cues, for reassurance, for permission to exist. The certain, however, don't seek confirmation, they anchor it. Their gaze doesn't wander. It holds. It declares. Here's the law: never display uncertainty. Even when you're unsure, move as if you're not. Even when you lack answers, behave as if your direction is already decided. Speak less. Move slower. Make every gesture deliberate. This doesn't mean pretending to know everything. It means standing by your choices fully. No nervous laughter, no public doubt, no invisible apology in your tone. That's the moment people stop questioning you, because they start questioning themselves. When your inner stance becomes immovable, respect starts gravitating toward you without effort. Principle 2, the discipline of concealment. Once your presence is grounded, the next challenge is restraint. Amateurs show the full weather of their emotions: joy, anger, frustration, as if transparency were strength. It isn't. It's exposure. Masters conceal the storm behind still waters. Every time you react, you teach people how to control you. Lose your temper once, and they'll remember exactly what string to pull next time. That's why the truly powerful cultivate what Machiavelli described as strategic opacity, the art of revealing nothing before it serves a purpose. Your goal is not to feel less, but to leak less. Hold a steady voice. Maintain posture. Keep your expression unreadable. When people can't predict you, they overestimate you. Mystery doesn't just protect, it amplifies. Calmness feels like dominance because unpredictability feels like danger. The less they understand you, the more they respect the boundaries around you. You owe no one access to your inner world, not your thoughts, not your plans, not your emotions. Those are privileges, not public property. When people can't read you, they fear misjudging you. That fear becomes your shield. Picture it, someone mocks you in front of others. Instead of defending yourself, you pause. Look at them, still, collected. Maybe a faint smile. Then you return to what you were doing. They don't know if you're unaffected or if they've just made a serious mistake. That tension is control. This is the discipline of concealment. You become a mirror reflecting others' projections while never exposing your own. Stop explaining. Stop proving. Stop reacting. Power is not gained by being understood. It's gained by being calmly unreadable. Principle 3, the silent law of consequence. Control means nothing until others feel it. Calm presence alone isn't enough. People must sense the invisible cost of crossing you. Not through threats, not through anger, but through the quiet tension that follows disrespect. That's where real fear lives, not in aggression, but in uncertainty. Many mistake power for force. They believe fear is built through volume, posture, or dominance displays. But noise fades. What endures is stillness, the kind that makes others question what you might do, not what you just said. True fear doesn't shout. It watches. It waits. It lets the imagination do the work. When provoked, never match volatility. Never shout, never rush to defend. The more emotion shown, the less control perceived. Instead, grow colder. Withdraw warmth. Become unreadable. People are instinctively disturbed by those who react less than expected. The louder someone becomes, the weaker they appear. The quieter you become, the stronger your presence feels. Predictable reactions can be managed, silence cannot. An emotional person can be reasoned with or provoked again. But someone who goes still, who retreats into composure, that person becomes dangerous, because no one knows what follows. And uncertainty is the birthplace of power. Machiavelli taught that being feared is not about hostility, it's about command. It's about presence that forces precision. Those who face you should measure their tone, weigh their words, and move carefully, knowing that disrespect never goes unnoticed. Imagine a moment of public ridicule, laughter aimed at your expense. The weak response is to laugh along or retaliate in anger. The powerful response is silence. Let the noise burn out. Then, one look, calm, unshaken, deliberate. A pause long enough to make the air heavy. Then turn away. Nothing said. Nothing defended. That silence does what anger never could. It brands a warning into memory. The room adjusts, the mocker reconsiders. Control is restored, not through confrontation, but through absence of reaction. Fear, when crafted correctly, is not cruelty. It's respect shaped by consequence. Principle 4, the discipline of emotional distance. Once fear is established, it must be sustained. And nothing sustains authority like emotional control. The moment feelings dictate reaction, power begins to leak. Attachment to outcomes makes focus fragile. Caring too deeply about being right, being praised, or being understood shifts control outward, into the hands of others. Emotional dependence creates vulnerability, and vulnerability breeds manipulation. Powerful minds operate from stillness. Whether insulted or praised, ignored or admired, their rhythm remains unchanged. They do not rise with flattery or sink with criticism. Their value doesn't fluctuate with perception. Most people live in cycles of reaction, productive only when praised, defeated when ignored. That is not discipline. That is enslavement. The one who governs emotion governs direction. The one who demands reaction hands away control. Silence, again, becomes a weapon. When provocation meets stillness, the aggressor loses orientation. They came to play a game of reaction and find no opponent. Machiavelli's wisdom endures here. The wise act with clarity before emotion clouds judgment. The fool must first cool his temper to find reason. The wise never lose it. Emotional detachment is not apathy, it's precision. It's the ability to observe the storm without stepping into it. The insult is seen but not absorbed. The delay, the rejection, the envy, all noticed, none obeyed. Each emotion acknowledged, then dismissed. Those who master this distance become impenetrable. While others drown in impulses, they calculate. While others defend pride, they secure position. While others react, they advance. Power belongs not to those who feel less, but to those who choose when to feel. That is the discipline that separates command from chaos. Principle 5, the architecture of influence. Power doesn't command. It orbits. The strongest influence is invisible. It doesn't shout, doesn't demand, doesn't force submission. It rearranges people's behavior without them realizing they've been guided. That is psychological leverage, the ability to occupy space inside another person's mind without resistance. It begins with perception. Observation is the weapon of quiet rulers. Most people speak to be noticed. They rush to fill silence, to prove relevance, to assert opinion. In doing so, they reveal everything: their priorities, their fears, their hidden pressure points. The one who listens collects all of it. Study reactions instead of words. Watch what draws energy and what drains it. What triggers defensiveness, what sparks pride, what topics make voices tighten or eyes wander. You're not gathering trivia, you're mapping the terrain of control. Every person exposes their weaknesses and how they protect them. This is the foundation of invisible command, awareness before action. Machiavelli warned that the wise reveal nothing without reason, not thoughts, not motives, not intent. Strategy exposed too soon becomes a vulnerability. When you remain silent, the other side fills the void with information. They speak to understand you, but only expose themselves. Consider a negotiation. The ordinary talk endlessly, selling their position. The powerful remain still. They ask questions. They let the silence stretch. Each word offered in haste becomes data, every hesitation, every justification, every over-explanation. And when the time finally comes to respond, your words strike where certainty lives, on their insecurities, desires, and unspoken fears. This is the difference between pushing and pulling. The powerless argue. The powerful position. You never force a decision, you frame it. You make others believe they chose freely while they move exactly where you intended. Those who observe emotion from distance control those drowning in it. That is not manipulation, it's design. True psychological power is subtle, precise, and absolute. Principle 6, the sovereignty of boundaries. Power fades where tolerance begins. Every act of forgiveness toward deliberate disrespect, every excuse made for carelessness, every attempt to maintain peace through silence, carves away at authority. Each unaddressed insult teaches others the same lesson, that your standards are negotiable. Negotiable people lose gravity. Their words carry no consequence because their limits shift with pressure. The unyielding, however, command attention without asking for it. They protect their presence as territory, calm, private, and guarded. When peace is disturbed, end it. No explanations, no theatrics. Exit quietly. Remove access. Withhold attention. One warning is generosity, a second is self-betrayal. The power to walk away is greater than any power to convince. Machiavelli's principle applies here. Command begins with the self. Those who fail to discipline their own tolerance cannot discipline others. Boundaries are not cruelty, they're a declaration of value. They show that your time, energy, and peace weigh more than someone else's comfort. Consider the smallest example. Someone cancels twice, offering hollow apologies. The weak reply with understanding. The strong withdraw effort. The invitation stops coming. And when questioned, a simple truth: respect is measured in consistency, not words. No confrontation is needed. Silence communicates what speeches cannot, that you will not compete for the bare minimum. Those who rise to your standard remain, those who don't remove themselves. Both outcomes serve you. Authority begins where explanation ends. Stop justifying what should be obvious. Enforce limits without sound, and watch how swiftly others calibrate around them. Self-respect is not spoken, it's enforced. Principle 7, the precision of withdrawal. The most refined expression of power is disappearance. Not in anger, not in performance, but in quiet, deliberate retreat. You remove your energy, your attention, your presence, and allow others to feel the weight of the silence that replaces you. Absence speaks a language only consequence can translate. Most people lose authority not because they're disrespected, but because they keep showing up to prove they deserve respect. They argue. They justify. They try to remind others of their worth. But every defense lowers status, every plea confirms dependence. Power doesn't negotiate its value, it vanishes and lets the loss reveal it. When taken for granted, the most effective response is none at all. No confrontation. No explanation. No visible resentment. You simply become unreachable. The absence becomes the punishment, and the mystery becomes control. Those who once dismissed you begin to feel uncertainty, the most uncomfortable of all sensations. They start to analyze their own behavior, trying to locate the shift. They message more carefully, speak more cautiously, search for the version of you they used to have. And the truth hits them, they no longer do. Machiavelli understood this balance between intellect and force. The fox avoids traps, the lion commands space. Strategic withdrawal unites both, the cunning to see when presence loses value, and the strength to disappear without flinching. In practice, this principle governs every domain. At work, when effort is undervalued, reduce it. Do what's required, precisely, efficiently, but nothing beyond. Force others to experience the absence of your initiative. In relationships, when treated as replaceable, vanish completely. No speeches, no dramatics, only silence. Let them exist without your energy and realize how empty it feels. This isn't cruelty, it's calibration. You're not punishing anyone, you're correcting an imbalance. Absence restores equilibrium where words have failed. But withdrawal must be complete. To retreat and then rush back the moment they notice destroys the lesson entirely. Maintain distance until genuine change appears, and understand that sometimes, you never return. Because often, life improves in the quiet that follows detachment. One silent exit teaches more about your value than endless confrontation. Presence is common, disappearance is remembered. Because when you leave, people finally measure what stayed behind, and what will never return. You are not permanent. You are privilege. And privilege, once lost, is not easily recovered. Principle 8, the final authority. When mastery over the self becomes complete, authority ceases to be performed, it simply exists. Certainty, silence, and restraint merge into something greater, a state of command that no longer requires defense. You stop chasing respect because respect now follows you. You stop proving worth because presence alone confirms it. You stop reacting because nothing external holds jurisdiction over your emotions. This is the final threshold of control, where influence is effortless, and composure becomes law. People sense it instantly. They lower their tone without knowing why. They choose words with precision. They hesitate before overstepping. Not from fear of punishment, but from instinctive recognition that they are standing before someone who cannot be moved. True power no longer speaks, it directs. It doesn't force obedience, it creates alignment. Those around you adapt naturally because resistance feels pointless. This is the quiet dominion Machiavelli described, a reign built not on fear or affection, but on equilibrium. Such presence cannot exist without discipline. It demands that emotion remain private, boundaries remain absolute, and values remain unbent even under pressure. It requires walking alone without resentment, losing without collapse, and being tested without shifting stance. Each trial only polishes the stillness at your core. To reach this state is to transcend the game of appearances. The untouchable are not those who intimidate others, they are those whose calm unsettles chaos. Their steadiness breaks manipulation. Their silence commands response. Their neutrality reveals others' instability. The final authority is not about ruling people, it is about mastering perception. The one who cannot be shaken holds the highest ground, because every conflict dies against composure it cannot disturb. Power doesn't end with dominance, it ends with detachment. When you no longer need to prove, persuade, or defend, you stop playing the game entirely. You become the board it's played on. The calm center that defines the movement of everything else. That's what it means to reach the final authority, when control turns inward and presence itself becomes command. From that point on, silence isn't the absence of response, it's the proof that nothing external holds weight anymore. This is where most stop, thinking they've reached power. But the truth is, it's only the beginning. Because once you master control, you must learn how to shape with it, how to design perception, influence without motion, and build power as an art form. Continue that transformation inside the playlist Machiavelli on Power as Design. Each lesson there expands this one, turning control into architecture and silence into strategy. You've learned to hold your ground. Now learn how to build an empire on it.